So I wanted to ask you, Chris. I found you. Um, I a couple of weeks ago, I started my quarantine project, which was blogging, and I hadn't really done much of that in the past. But I'm a front end developer. I work for a CRO agency where we do a lot of A/B testing, and there's like it's pretty cool because I work on like a variety of client websites and we never have access to their source code. We're kind of writing our own scripts and deploying them through tools like Optimizely and VWO or tag managers and things like that. So there's like a lot of like JavaScript quirks and like ways to kind of like get data and manipulate things. And over the years, I feel like I've learned a couple things that I wanted to share with people, and I started my JS Bits blog, and while I was kind of browsing that dev.to website, I came across your work, and I was like, oh wow, somebody is also doing kind of the same thing as myself. Can you share kind of like what your inspiration was behind that, and how you got started with daily dev tips?
Yes. It basically started that I had quite a passion for writing. So I started one blog, and at that time I didn't know what I wanted to write about. So I just called it the To-Doist, and it had everything on my to-do list that I could write about, which was coding, traveling, etc. And I spent an awful lot of time on that blog, having it designed, building it from scratch, writing massive articles. And it was cool, but it was so much work that I basically, didn't keep up with it. You got to a point where it was like, it's so much work to do after hours. And then we hit quarantine. So I was sitting at home. I didn't have my travel time to work. And I figured, well, why not give back to the community a bit? Because I also found on a daily basis, I find all these little snippets I have to make that will actually help people. Things I even think like, oh, after 15 years, I don't even know that existed in coding. Yeah, and it was just a way of improving my writing, improving my communication with people, helping people. So that's really where it came from. And then because of the quarantine, I decided to do it daily because I think normally I would have only gone for weekly blogs. But actually, the daily thing has been really good,
Hmm.
and it's really helping me, keeping active, being busy with it. And I've done almost 150 days. And it's so far it's going really well and really keeping me happy to do. It's not like a chore.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw your first post. I think was like March 19th, just when things were shutting down, and I mean it's crazy. I mean, I know from doing my own blogging, it can be difficult to like think of a topic, sometimes, and it's awesome. I mean, does it ever kind of do you ever get kind of like bogged down thinking about what you could possibly write about next, or do you kind of have a long list of topics that you are excited to share about?
Yeah, so that's actually kind of a struggle point um, because sometimes I have something coming up at my work, right? It being something completely new for me. So then I decide to write about that, and I've really learned to scale things down. So if it would be building a drag and drop email editor from scratch, I would just take little pieces of that and then write about the separate functions. Just because it's more detailed, people pick it up easier. But I do have days where I just really have no idea what I'm going to write about, and I try to keep a backlog of things I find. People ask me for to write specific tips for them, or mention something like, I'm not sure how this works. So I'll put it on a backlog. Um, but sometimes it's either a too big topic to write about, or it's it's just empty. And yeah, it has been a struggle some days to find something.
Where do you get the motivation to post and continue to do it daily? How do you find that motivation?
I think it's really a drive just to you know see that people actually like reading it. Because I do get a lot of comments from people on several platforms, saying like, "Oh, that was a cool article. I didn't know you could do that." So that's really my main drive to yeah to see that people really enjoy it.
Yeah. I find personally it's a great way to learn is like every morning you log on and I'll see, oh, Daily Dev Tips has a new article out. Oh, cool, this is like nice little trick. And like I'm gonna remember that for my next A/B test or something like that. And it's really cool to share that kind of knowledge with other developers who maybe just haven't learned those tricks yet, and they really do come in handy when you're doing like a code review, and you can just see a quicker, cleaner way of doing things.
I love that people really find it helpful. And then I must say, at one stage, I thought about just writing about JavaScript. So as you know, I also do some other stuff like CSS, HTML in between. Just because it pops up then at my work, and I think, oh, that's quirky. People probably don't know about that. But I can't imagine I know some bloggers just do JavaScript only, and I have massive respect for those people because it is a big language, but it's also very hard to keep at it just focusing on JavaScript. And as well, if you have to use JavaScript, I really like to use vanilla JavaScript,
Oh, me too.
just because it's also well more supported in browsers. It will give less errors on its own, and it's just way cleaner if you think about it. Yeah, and I really find it like so helpful to learn vanilla JavaScript over the years.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Just one issue that we're facing right now is that the A/B testing software that we use, the platforms that we use, they rely on third-party cookies and
Uh,
web storage, which there's an all-out war right now with browsers that are restricting that. And so we've had to make a couple difficult decisions to exclude Safari, for instance, because they were one of the first to implement ITP, intelligent tracking prevention rather, and it basically limited our ability to track users longer than 7 days, which meant that it was counting users that hadn't returned in 7 days as new visitors, which was kind of skewing our data on the experiments that we were running on client websites. And so it just kind of comes down to, I mean, there's some mitigation you can do there, but it just kind of comes down to like, well, we'll have all the Chrome traffic, so, and for the purposes of our work, it usually is enough, but even Chrome now is sort of starting to win that arms race as well. So, yeah, it's a
yep.
thing.
It's that's also been a large issue for us. So our main focus is marketing, which heavily relies on cookies.
Mhm.
And yeah, we are lucky to be able to transform most of them to first party cookies. But we do have software that requires third party cookies, and we had issues where we just also blocked Safari users because it wouldn't be valuable. And I think that's also an interesting case where one of my articles was about detecting ad blockers. And I think that's the article that had the most rage about it, because every developer will tell you, oh, I would close your website right away. And I would be one of those. But if you are actually working on stuff like that, you realize it's also them trying to help you because they use the cookie not to track you, but to help you fill out your details. Whatever they know, they'll fill out, so you don't have to fill out an endless long form because we already know the data. And if you accept the cookie or not, the data will still be known for them. They just are not able to push it into your browser.
Yeah, I personally think that in our industry we might be getting a little carried away with these kind of restrictions. Have you ever written Chrome extensions before? Have you ever undergone the very extensive review process that can take up to a month just to get your extension approved?
Yeah, well, I was kind of lucky that I wrote my extensions way in the beginning. When for Chrome at least, they only had a couple apps, and it was very simple back in the day. But yes, it's getting way and way more impossible almost to write some decent stuff.
Yeah, I think there's always a couple bad eggs, but and I too have seen that sort of evolution with the Chrome extension. Like in years past, could kind of throw everything up there. And funny story is, I actually wrote a joke Chrome extension for my friends at work. I named it Page Ruler, but what it really did, and it even had like a page ruler. It had like a ruler icon. But what it really did was play like an annoying song in the background of the browser once every 43 minutes, but only for like 10 seconds so that they couldn't understand where it was coming from. And it was meant just as a joke, but and unfortunately, like other people thought it was a real page ruler extension, and so they downloaded it and they flagged me into oblivion, and I got all these like got all these red flags in my account that I had to switch, and I actually really didn't mean to have it public, but yeah, I'm probably on a blacklist somewhere because of it. Well, cool. Is there anything you would like to promote? Where can people find you on your social media that you like to share?
Yeah, mainly find me on my blog or Twitter, which would be Daily Dev Tips. I'm always active every day. If you want to receive them, just subscribe to my mailing list and you'll receive them every morning. And yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Well, I can say that it's awesome. I'm a follower. It's a couple of things that I've learned from you. I've sort of like spun off and gone deeper with on my own blog. So you've been a source of inspiration for me. Chris, this was great. Thanks so much for doing this interview. Thanks.
Thank you for this interview. It was nice to be a part of this.
My pleasure. Cool. Take care, Chris.
Awesome.
Bye
All
bye.
right.